Good morning. So, I've got the kettle boiling, so if I run off, it's just to grab my coffee because I'm having my second coffee. I've been posting some stuff to do with the future of fire, because like I've got a lot of classic horror movie people in my algorithm, and I've just started following one, and it's inspiring me. And the thing, the weird thing is, while I'm thinking up these movie ideas, I can hear the music for them as I can do this and I can write that and I can create this and blah, blah, blah. So, and I can hear the horror music. So I'm going to be able to, I'm going to get to compose horror music as well. So that's just made me hysterically excited. I never thought in a million years I would end up being a composer. I can't write music. I can't play an instrument, although I do want to relearn the guitar and maybe even relearn the keyboard. But I'm composing music. I just need my writing partner. So I've come up with 2 more horror movies, and one of them literally just like a few minutes ago. And now I'm excited. The first one, which I mentioned yesterday, is a Frankenstein movie. And so I'm just waiting for the kettle to go click. I came up with an idea a few years ago in connection with the Art of Creation, you know, the animated TV series, with a Frankenstein-like character to do with, we called him Mordecai, but we changed his name. I'm not going to go into the storyline. I'm not going to go into the details of it all because it's so unique and so different it would get nicked, and people nick my stuff already. So I'm not going into that. But because every character in the Art of Creation represents a different faith or belief system or religion, because, you know, we're talking about the Ministry of Souls, so all the world's cultures and mythologies to do with birth, death, the afterlife, purgatory, karma, hell, heaven, that sort of thing. That's what the Art of Creation animated TV series covers. So this character is the devil worshipper, because obviously they exist, and if I'm going to teach people how to understand devil worshipping and all of that, then, and Christianity and Islam and Judaism and, you know, Hinduism and all that sort of thing, paganism, all of it, I have to cover every aspect. And the character that we came up with was the devil worshipper, and he's connected to the Frankenstein storyline. But I can't go into it because it's really unique. There's nothing like it that's been written out there. But that's my Frankenstein movie. And I'm looking at these classics, and I'm looking at the special effects people and the makeup artists and the ones who did the animatronics and made the puppets and worked the puppets, and from like Alien and Predator and all that. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm getting so excited because I grew up with this stuff. I grew up with horror movies. I grew up with it all. And not just even when my dad got the video machine, but obviously on TV as well. Which brings me to my next subject. Hang on, my kettle's boiled. I shall be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So, yeah, Medusa. Growing up as a kid, as a little kid, there were two beasties that absolutely scared the bejeebers out of me. And my parents used to let me watch horror movies. They used to say, my parents were very much, if you think you're old enough to watch these movies, then don't come crying to us if you get scared. If you're smart enough to know that it's just a story, that it's just a movie, then you don't have a right to be scared. Like, there's nothing to be scared of. But because I was only wee, like little, I wanted to watch these horror movies on the TV. And Doctor Who scared the crap out of me as well, but I still watched it. And Day of the Triffids and all of that. My parents were very much, okay, so if you think that you're mature enough and smart enough to watch these horror movies, you're smart enough to know they're just stories. So don't go getting scared and having nightmares and that. And I used to pretend that I wasn't getting scared, but I was terrified of Medusa. All the Medusa movies that my dad used to watch and all that, absolutely terrified. And a thing popped up about, the Gorgon. And I'm like, oh my God, Medusa. She was like, I was terrified of her. Her and Dracula, Count Dracula. They were the ones, because obviously the way that they portrayed in the movie, portrayed in the movies that I was watching, were just fantastic. And the first time I ever saw the Gorgon or Medusa was Clash of the Titans with Ray Harryhausen. And then from there, it was just... And Ray Harryhausen was like the start of stop motion and the start of like special effects, and that he was kind of like birthed it all for me. And my father fed it. And now, it's like going to be one of the pinnacles of our movie making at Fire. And I was just explaining about how the way that I've designed Fire, that where all the shops are, we're just always going to refer to it of going into town. I'm just going into town, and when we say that, we're going to mean a Boracom, like our little town. And our town is going to be divided into little sections, like little street sections. And one of them, because each street is basically based on the ascension process. So at the far end of town, we'll have Underworld Street, or what we'll call Underworld Street, and there'll be like the cemetery and the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft. And, you'll be able to go there for your readings and all of that sort of thing. So, yeah, we'll have like our occult museum, and we'll have kind of like the freak show kind of circus thing, and you know what I mean, like all that sort of stuff. And it will be used a lot in our horror movies. And so, yeah, so I'm sitting here thinking we need to do a Medusa movie, because she has a story to tell, and she's one of these mythological creatures in horror movies who is always portrayed wrong. And I was just looking her up, just to double check that it was the Ray Harryhausen movie Clash of the Titans that I saw her on, and I was right. But she's completely misunderstood. And I thought, if I was going to make a Medusa movie, where would I start? And it's already started with the Slime Queen and the Amber Rose. So we can introduce Medusa and the Slime, and in the Amber Rose. Now, The Slime Queen will have like a small appearance in Lucian's Dragon, because Lucian's Dragon is more about Jeb the Goblin King, who himself is green, and the Slime Queen is also green. But she's the niece of Jeb the Goblin King, and when Jeb the Goblin King steps onto his sword and dies in Lucian's Dragon, the Slime Queen tries to take his place and rule the Shadowlands in the Kingdom of the Underworld. Was kind of like at the door to the underworld, in Jeb's place, but does a really, really bad job of it and gets turned to stone. And then the dwarves come and chip away at the Slime Queen, and use the bits of the Slime Queen to pave the road. Yeah, I'm just going to pour my coffee. So I was thinking, okay, so start there. So we're going to have Medusa be the reason why the Slime Queen is turned to stone. Because the story of Medusa is actually quite a sad one. And I had no idea that she gave birth to Pegasus. I had no, and the giant that wields the sword of gold. When she was killed, when Perseus chopped her head off, it said that Pegasus came from her pregnant. She was pregnant with Pegasus and a giant that was wielding a golden sword. Now, the giant wielding a golden sword is actually poignant. If I told you one of the chapters that I'd written in Lucian's Dragon that's yet to be typed out, but Perseus gave Medusa's head to Athena, but if you look at it from the Roman mythology, it's supposed to be Poseidon that got her pregnant for the Greeks. Poseidon got her pregnant, but with the Romans it was Neptune. Or the other way around. Sorry. And Minerva is the one who turned her, who put a curse on her and gave her like the snake heads and that, because she was jealous that Neptune was the one that got her pregnant. And she was jealous of her beauty. So she was kind of cursed and forced to defend herself and then killed so that some bloody god could show off to a goddess. And she was completely misunderstood. So I'm going to turn my Gorgon movie, my Medusa movie, into a story of how she's going to be introduced when she helps fight this war in the Amber Rose. She's going to be the reason why the Slime Queen is turned to stone. So she's going to like help fight the war on behalf of, the gods and goddesses and all of that. Because Brehena is a North Star. So we've got Perseus and all of that, Hermes and all that playing into the mythology of Medusa. And then the horror movie itself is going to be about her. And I think I might make her, kind of like Lilith. You know how they killed Lilith, in my opinion, was Adam's first wife before Eve. And I believe that Eve killed the children of Adam and Lilith because Eve was jealous. And the snake that tempted her to bite the poison apple, and curse mankind and blah, 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 I believe was Lilith. So there's that whole Lilith, Medusa, Gorgon thing in the Bible as well. But Lilith became very angry and bitter and twisted because her children were taken from her and killed. My 12th house, my black moon is Lilith. Sorry, my Lilith, my black moon, my 12th house is Scorpio. So my light side is Scorpio and my dark side is Scorpio. And both are here to seek vengeance for children, vengeance and protection for children. Which is also Medusa, because she was killed while she was pregnant. And so, and it said that after you remove her head, that's when she's at her most potent. So I'm going to do my Frankenstein movie, and I can't wait to see. Honestly, I can't wait to see what my special effects and makeup people and costume people and puppeteers and that. I can't wait to see all of this manifest. I'm kind of even starting to understand now when you look at the mythology of Medusa, its correlation to the Slime Queen and Donald Trump. Especially the connection to the Red Sea, because remember I said to my friend, I think God's about to part the Red Sea and create a miracle so that I get to America. I get safe passage to America. And because now I'm thinking about it, it's like if I am going to be taking over Hollywood in the new world, if fire becomes the new standard for movie making once Hollywood is torn down after the whole Epstein thing is exposed and crushed and we get to start again sort of thing, America, it makes perfect sense that I'm being redirected back to America. I even had a dream once that I documented where I was in New York and we were packing up trucks and vans to go to Hollywood to make a movie about the story of my life. But yeah, a Frankenstein movie and a Medusa movie. And I already know the Frankenstein story, so that one's because I wrote that years ago. But the Medusa one, she's going to be introduced in the Amber Rose as an animated character, and then she's going to be turned into a live action movie, horror movie with real actors in that, and I've just come up with the most incredible story for it. Obviously, again, I'm not going to say anything, but it's like the horror movie stuff's ramping up, and I'm getting so excited. I even thought of a really cool. Remember, I said I'd never do it. Attack from Mars. It came from outer space. That sort of thing. Alien movie. I thought of a really clever way of doing an alien movie, an alien invasion movie that's very different. So I've also thought of another one. I was thinking about it yesterday, but I don't know how ethical it would be. People might not necessarily complain, but some people might have a problem with it. But I think that as far as groundbreaking horror movies and that are concerned, it's something that's never really been done before. And it's lightly touched on in Night of the Black Sun, our zombie apocalypse movie. So, yeah, so Medusa. I'm definitely doing a Medusa. I can introduce a whole romantic horror storyline that explains why she's the way she is, why she turned the Slime Queen into a statue, but also make her a bit bitter and twisted and demented like Lilith style because of she's out for vengeance, put it that way. So, yeah. I was just saying, like with Lucian's Dragon and that, because it's going to be like the Labyrinth, I can't wait to see like the Bogmen and Miro, the Leshy, and the Groot Slang and all. I can't wait to see them in like puppet form and costume form. You know, like Ludo, how big he was compared to Jennifer Connelly. The Bogmen would be even bigger compared to Lucian. They're huge. They're like giants. I had to create them all on my own because nothing out there that I needed for the scene fit. And the Groot slang, you know, the snake with the elephant tusks and all that. I can't wait to see them in puppet form. I can't wait to see it. I'm getting so excited. And it's kind of like I'm starting to see why God is directing me towards America if He is going to part the Red Sea. And I'm not saying I'm definitely going to America. I'm saying that it looks like I'm being redirected that way. But if I'm wrong and I end up in Switzerland still, I'm not going to be disappointed. But I just get a feeling like God saying, "Hey, psst, have you thought about? Have you reconsidered? Why don't you give America a bit of a reconsider? I'll give it a reconsider if He gets rid of the threat, which I think He's doing now." So yeah, so I'm getting excited because people are just they're crying out for what it is I'm creating. They really are. I've spent the last year and a bit observing people crying out for everything I'm creating. I'm reviving a horror genre. I'm reviving animation and movies and TV and all of that from yesteryear that people are just crying out for. And I can't wait. Oh my God, I can't wait. So as soon as I get to Switzerland or America, there's three things I need to do. I need to set up my games company, my production company, and my IT company. They're the first things. And while they're tuning everything out and I'm looking for my talent and investors and that sort of thing, I can be building the school in the background. But as fast as we're able to get that server up and running, we can start putting stuff onto it. And by the time we open the school, by the time it's all built and ready to go, we should have a fair few things, you know, TV and small platform games already up and ready to go. But I also want to be my own internet provider and, you know, phone service and internet service. I don't want to, you know, our phone company and our internet service provider, I want it to be my own. North Star IT, I want to call it. And within that IT, we'll do everything from internet security, you know, server maintenance, building the server, all that sort of thing, as well as looking after my internet and phone company. And then my staff, obviously, and people in the local area, they'll all be invited to sign up to our internet and all that, and it'll be data protection, and we won't be sharing, and we won't be snooping or anything like that. So yeah, so I need to set up my games company, my production company. It's QE2 Games, Fairyland Productions, and North Star IT. They're the three things that I need to set up. So I'm going to need to get bums on seats. I need staff. I'm going to need a lot of staff. But I'm ready for the challenge. Like, I'm so excited. It's like, hurry up, Lord, hurry up. I just want to hurry up and get there and do it now, because the more I'm creating, the more that's coming out of me, the more excited I'm getting. And now, of course, because I'm focusing on horror movies and all of that, I can hear the music for it playing in my head of how I want the music to go, and just like with Vanta Black. And I think that other than Russia and the United Kingdom, although the United Kingdom would only be fitting if the king took the side of the people, um, Night of the Black Sun, there'd be no more perfect place to have that outdoor concert to raise awareness for child trafficking, for human trafficking, and the victims of Epstein and all that than America, because of everything that they've been subjected to, because of their president and all the people that are covering up the fact that they're on in those files. I think that if I was to have Night of the Black Sun in America, I think it would be quite very well received. I think they'd be very supportive of it. Of all the countries in the world, America would be the country that was would be the most receptive, because they're the ones who have suffered the most at the hands of the people who are hiding the fact that they're in the cult of Epstein. And we know what they were like with Live Aid. And this is going to be like our little mini version of Live Aid, an outdoor radio broadcast of a zombie apocalypse, which eventually will be turned into a horror movie. But it's going to be our live radio broadcast musical first. And I want the soundtrack to it produced on vinyl. So I only want the best musicians and the best composers in that, because I want it to sound primo when you put that needle on the record and play it over your stereo. I want to bring back stereos. Instead of people walking around with iPods and that, which is fine when you're out jogging or whatever, but I want people to appreciate music in their homes through the beauty of stereo. Nothing beats the sound of stereo. When you put that needle on the record and that music comes out, oh my God. You feel the music. That's why everything that I'm composing, from the music in my video games to my movies and TV shows and that, why I put so much time and effort into it, because a lot of the stuff we're going to be producing on vinyl, even the kids stuff, so the parents can put the records on so the kids can listen to the music, turn YouTube off, turn it all off, turn the digital stuff off, and put the bloody record on, so that the kids can listen to their favourite songs from the Superhero Toy League and all of that from on radio, on stereo. My boys had Jake and the Netherland Pirates and that on CD, but if it had been out on record and I had a stereo, I would have bought it on record. They loved Jake and the Netherland Pirates. They liked the musicians. The two guys, the two pirates that played the music, they liked their songs. And I had a whole room in our house that I set up as their kindy, and we had everything from costumes and Play-Doh and arts and crafts and that. And every day they'd go and have kindy, because remember I used to be a kindergarten teacher, and then we'd have snacks and that and listen to Jake and the Neverland Pirates, and Bad Jelly the Witch and all that. So yeah, so I want to bring that back, reintroduce radio, so it not forces, but encourages people to close their eyes and use their imagination through the sound of all the voices and characters and the music and all of that, the sound effects over the radio. So they have to use their imagination, and then put the needle on the record. So get them away from YouTube. You know, these parents that just put the telly on and leave their kids to watch the telly. I was never like that. If I put the TV on for the kids, I sat and watched it with them, and we would play while it was kind of on in the background. Um, yeah, I'm not one of these people that thinks that the TV and YouTube should be raising my children. So, yeah, I want to encourage parents to turn the TV off and put the record on and let the kids sit and play with Play-Doh. I even made my own Play-Doh. I know how to make my own Play-Doh. I used to make it at kindy and at primary school when I was a teacher's assistant. I even made up Play-Doh to give as gifts for nieces and nephews when they were wee for Christmas. So, yeah, just put the needle on the record, get the Play-Doh out, get the jigsaw puzzles out, that sort of thing, and let the kids listen to quality music. I want to bring all of that back. Get the TVs turned off. Get the tablets removed. Parents do it to distract their kids, and the wrong things are raising their children. So when you take the tablet away from the kid, you're essentially taking their teacher away. You're taking their parent away. They have that detachment from the thing that's raising them. And so I want to change all of that and give people a reason why to buy albums again and introduce their children to the love of classical music and that through my characters like Mr. Cello and all that. So, yeah. And I'll keep being inspired by the world around me. I'll keep being inspired by the people I see, by the people I interact with, by the people I observe. And everything I'm building is just growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why people would be a fool not to invest with me. Because my empire is going to be, I mean, you look at a kingdom is made up of like a few towns and villages, where an empire is made up of towns and villages and counties and states and countries. So, an empress is more powerful than a queen. An emperor is more powerful than a king. Technically, they should have called Victoria Empress Victoria. She wasn't a queen. She was an empress because she ruled an empire that was made up of lots of different countries. It's technically an empire. It's called the British Empire. She should have been called an empress. Technically, but we're not going to go there. So anyway, yeah, Medusa. I'm so excited. I can't wait. So I'm going to go. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite ano. Ka kite ano.